I'm Rob W. Scribner, and I'm a cinematographer. Most of the time, I'm working on commercials or I'm shooting documentaries. I really like making emotional, inspirational style content. A lot of my clients hire me for my doc style, which I also incorporate a lot of that into my commercial work as well. I like to bring a nice human element. I'm really good with lighting people in interview setups. I like telling real stories with real people. I love it. It's something about that. That's what gets me excited, is knowing that I'm sharing people's stories and I'm bringing them to life, and I'm doing it with an artistic style, my style. I definitely like to think of my style as I'm a truthful storyteller, meaning that I'm trying to capture the moment and not necessarily create a moment. Part of my style is definitely incorporating the sun into the shots. I really like having it in the shot, whether it's I'm using it as a backlight, using it for silhouettes. When I see a shot, I always try to figure out a way to get it in there somehow, especially on my run and gun kind of outside doc style projects. I'm definitely not afraid of using flares. When I'm working outside and I'm shooting towards the sun, I definitely, again, I utilize it and I like that nice wrap around. But if I'm on a closed off set, sometimes I might artificially create the flares, whether it's just with a light or it's a special filter, or you're shooting anamorphic, and then mixing the color in the flares. It's definitely a challenge on set, and sometimes you get that client or that brand that comes to you and they have very colorful branding, and I like to incorporate that into the way I'm shooting or the way I'm lighting, and whether it's interviews, the B-roll, those are projects that are super fun because you get to go way over the top. I definitely enjoy shooting that way whenever possible. What's really rewarding about what I do is I get to show people how I experience light. This is what I see in my head. This is what I feel when I'm out doing a project. And just something about this just felt right. And especially with my lighting and using the sun and really using it, incorporating it into the shot, this is the way I experience light. My go-to camera is definitely the FX9. It's pretty much always my A camera. Probably the most versatile camera that I've used for my style. If I have a choice between using a smaller one, medium-sized one, or the FX9, I always go straight for the FX9. The fact that it's recording a 6K image and being sampled down to 4K on top of a full-frame sensor is just a wonderful combination. It's got a nice softness that I really like. The full-frame sensor also allows for a nice, softer, shallow depth of field that everyone's chasing these days. I'm really into having a nice bloom on my shots without having to put any filtration on or anything like that. The FX9 does a better job at that than some of the other cameras out there. That's one reason I go straight for my FX9 if I can. Not to mention, because I'm always working around the sun a lot, having the variable ND filters to dial in my exact exposure without having to compromise my iris or my shutter or my ISO, it's a huge benefit for me, and it's a tool that I use all the time. I honestly was not a fan of the idea that the FX9's big selling features was going to be some autofocus, but turns out it's actually one of the best things that I've had in my arsenal lately. It is extremely accurate. You can manipulate it. The FX9 has basically become my partner on set, and I trust it. I don't always have the luxury of working with an AC or a focus puller. I tend to work with smaller crews these days, especially because of the pandemic. So I'm pulling focus myself. I'm manually focusing the cameras normally. But now with the new autofocus that the camera has, I know that it's going to lock on a person's face very easily and quickly, and it's really reliable. If I'm shooting an interview and let's say it's just me or one other person, I have the confidence that it's going to keep that person's face in focus, because we all know we get that one person that likes to rock all over the place, and if let's say the director wants a really shallow depth of field, it's hard to keep them in focus. With the FX9's autofocus, it is rock solid, again, allowing me to stay in creative mode. Also really enjoyed the dual ISO feature, because now I can shoot longer to the evenings, or I can start earlier in the morning, or I'm shooting a client project and I have to go into a room where I don't have a lot of control over lighting. I can't bring in a lot of the lighting. Maybe it's just a tight turnaround. Being able to switch my ISO from a base low to a base high on the fly allows me to quickly achieve normal exposure so I can get the shots done, get out of there in a timely manner, and definitely keep the noise floor to a minimum. I do a lot of interviews, and when I am doing interviews, I'm definitely using two Sony cameras, whether it's going to be FX9s, pairing them together, or I'm mixing matching, saying an FX9 and an FX3. Sony's new Cinetone allows me to match these cameras really closely straight out of the camera with minimal correcting. Typically I'll just throw in a chip chart these days and it quickly matches it, boom, done. It was like all of 2 minutes of work. And now I can get into more of a creative color grading if I choose. Sony's new S-Cinetone also has great skin tones. I'm a really big fan of that. Definitely my go-to kit is an Easy Rig mixed with Shapes gear and my FX9, because I really like to hold the camera around waist level, and I definitely want to make sure I'm not killing my back, but I gotta move quick. I just like adding that little bit of parallax to the shots that just make it a little bit more interesting. Everyone always says, oh man, your Easy Rig's part of your signature, and it really is. I use it all the time. Being a filmmaker is definitely one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, because there's no off switch. Everywhere you look, you see a shot, or you see beautiful lighting, and you see inspiration everywhere. And when you're super passionate about something, you pour everything into it, and I do that every single day. There's no doubt that I've definitely found my calling in life.